Think of a little farm boy climbing trees and playing with other kids on a farm in the early 1900s in Plains, Georgia. Think about that little boy picking cotton all summer in the heat of the sun. This little boy had a typical childhood life as a farm boy. Now think if that little boy grew up to be President of the United States. Well, he was. That boy was our 39th President, Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter had a good childhood and education. He went into politics and became Georgia's state governor before he was President of the United States. Jimmy Carter was a great president. I spent my childhood as a farm boy and had a wonderful family. I was born at Y Sanitarium, Georgia on October 1st, 1924. I was the oldest of 4 children and was the first president to be born in a hospital. I had a typical childhood. I liked playing outside, climbing trees, and playing baseball. I also hunted, fished, loved to read, and played with African American kids. I had a wonderful family. I had 2 sisters, Gloria and Ruth Carter, and had 1 brother, Billy Carter. Besides having siblings, I had one mother and father. My mother's name was Lillian Carter, and she worked at a nearby hospital. My father, Earl Carter, was a local businessman and farmer. I was really close to my father. Although I spent much time on the farm, I also received a good education. When I was younger, I worked in the cotton fields with my dad and worked long hours in the heat of the sun. I attended Georgia Plains High School and often went to school barefoot. After high school, I attended Georgia Southwestern College in Americus, Georgia. After college, I attended the U.S. Naval Academy and graduated in 1946. I had numerous jobs before I became president. I worked on the family farm for many years picking cotton. I eventually took over the family farm after the farming year. After the farming years, I joined the Navy and became a naval officer. I woke up at 6 a.m. and often did drills all day. While serving in the Navy, I completed my graduate education at Union College and studied nuclear physics and reactor technology. I became a senior officer of the commissioning crew of the USS Seawolf submarine. When my father died in 1953, I took over the peanut farm. I grew peanuts for years in Plains, Georgia. I made a good profit from the farm. After farming once again, I entered politics and was elected to Georgia State Senate in 1960. I ran for governor of Georgia and lost in 1966. I ran again in 1971 against Lester Maddox and won. While doing all those jobs, I met a wonderful wife. My wife is named Eleanor Rosalind, and we were married in 1946. Rosalind went to Southwestern College and was the first woman to win the Presidential Medal of Freedom. We had 4 children. Jack Carter was born in 1957 at the U.S. Naval Medical Center. Amy Carter was born in 1967 and was raised in Plains, Georgia. James Carter was born in 1950, and Jeffrey Carter was born in 1952. After having a lot of jobs starting a family, I then went into politics and got onto the road to the White House. I am a member of the Democratic Party, and my running mate was Walter F. Mondale. I ran against Gerald Ford. I served from 1977 to 1981. I won the election with 298 out of 538 electoral votes and 40.8 million popular votes. My inauguration was January 20th, 1977, and I was the first president to walk from the Capitol to the White House on Inauguration Day. After being elected, I moved into the White House to start a new adventure and achievements and memories. My family had one pet, a cat named Misty Malarkey Yin Yang, who was Amy Carter's pet. Amy Carter was our only child of the 4 to live in the White House. I had many achievements as president. I declared amnesty for Vietnam War evaders. That means people would move to a different country to avoid being drafted into the Vietnam War. I also established the Department of Energy. I also persuaded leaders of Egypt and Israel to sign a historic peace agreement and enacted SALT II nuclear arms treaty with Russia. I had one major failure. I staged an unsuccessful attempt to save hostages in Iran. After being president, I became a writer and helped people in many ways. Then When I was done with my presidency, I taught classes at Emory University in Atlanta. I wrote 27 books, including Keeping Ruth a Memoir. In 1991, I stopped a serious military confrontation in Haiti when their leader decided to do a military takeover of the country. I also built affordable houses in Miami, Florida by working for Habitat for Humanity. While building houses, I worked with my wife. In 1986, I founded the Carter Presidential Center located in Plains, Georgia. That is seen behind me. It was built on the same site as the Carter Presidential Library. I am still living and continue to do humanity work. Here are some wild facts about myself. My two favorite foods are peanut brittle and peanuts. Did you know that I shot my sister Gloria in the butt after she threw a wrench at me? And my nickname was Hot Shot. I also won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002 because of my service as a former president. I was nominated to be the president of the United States in the 20th century. I grew up on a farm and lived on a farm and worked on a farm until I became president. I served as our 39th president, was an excellent president, but I will always be remembered as Jimmy Carter, the peanut farmer.